Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokk dara.
A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With Ecobank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as Ecobank mobile app, Ecobank online and Ecobank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection, and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the Ecobank mobile app. Open the Ecobank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill. Choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via Ecobank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to Ecobank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any Ecobank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank.
Today we are tackling an issue that touches every Gambian household. The price of bread. The Bakers Union is understood to have proposed an increase to the loaf, citing rising production costs. The government, however, seems reluctant to give its approval. And that's not just because we find ourselves in an election year. Bread is more than just food here. It's a daily staple. So when prices are debated, it affects everyone. To help us understand the Bakers Union perspective, we are joined by its Secretary General, Mr. Lamin Dibba, who is also the Vice President of the Federation of Labor Unions. Dibba will shed light on the challenges facing bakeries across the Gambia and what this means for consumers. Good morning, Mr. Dibba, and welcome to Coffee Time with Rita Gomez.
Good morning. It's a pleasure
to have you.
Yeah, a pleasure being here, like always. Like I said, I was last in the studios. That was March 2025. That is at Coffee Time.
A very precise memory.
Yes.
Thank you. So it's good to have you. Let's get right into the conversation since we have very limited time. What specific inputs have risen most sharply? Is it flour, fuel, or transport? And how do they affect profit margins?
Yeah, we might not directly come to that. These are one of the major challenges that we currently have. And before coming on air, we've engaged at every level, putting some of these challenges and realities before every authority, including our line Ministry of Trade, for us to engage and talk about possible strategies to mitigate challenges along the sector or within the sector that will not have any direct effect on the cost of bread to the last consumer. We had series of engagement before we moved out, and key among them, like you Ali alluded, bread and its production has a lot. The Bakers Union and our bakers has a mandate or have a mandate to fulfill when it comes to the way the bread is produced, the quality, the size, and also the weight specific to the communities or to the consumers, which we are very cognizant of, and we will always continue to take responsibilities. But coming to the crisis when we were all within, thank God it is a bit resolved. We have proactively engaged well before the second alarm. That is when first fuel prices were increased, second increment as well. It touched all our ingredient cost, almost from 40% to 65%. Whilst fuel operational cost touched us from 25% to 65%. We've tried to manage and also engage and maintain the decorum within our members, make them understand some economic realities. And bread, like we mentioned, as a staple, is not like any other commodity where anybody at any time, like they will always tell us, you can always go to the shop today, you are buying the carton of an XL 2,400. When crisis happened, transport internationally was affected. Everybody knew what was happening. Some of our essential ingredients were not easily accessible. We run out of certain stocks. The limited ones that were within, prices soared. And we were forced to buy those things at a price and still to produce. So we make all these technical details and inputs and calculations, then engage at national level to make sure we have processes within that will completely address these challenges through mechanisms which will not have any effect directly on the population. But to our surprise, up to right now as we speak, yes, there have been significant engagements diplomatically to a point, but the actions that we've put in recommendations that could have been taken earlier to mitigate some of the direct response or effect that will be on the population, nothing was adhered to. Coming directly to that, these are some of the realities that are happening. I will go into specific recommendations that we've made with regards to some of these challenges that we have highlighted. Why, if some of those things are not addressed, obviously we have no choice. The last one that I am to say, after maintaining the production and everything, yes, we were under control for a significant period. The most pressured time for all industries, like the bakery is also an industry, was the time that every operator within the bakery industry was highly dependent on generators. When our generators are meant for backups, now you have to completely use your generator to produce bread daily to the population, almost from 18 hours, some to 21 hours, some 16 hours. If you are lucky to be on production for 8 hours, you are lucky. So these are some of the realities. If you are spending fuel 10% or 15%, because generators at bakeries are meant for backups. They are not meant for us to be using it for operations. But if you are now leveraging on that for full-time operations, you can imagine that is double your cost of production. And to conclude, before I give you the mic for any question, I've said this in national forums and in international forums. The National Bakers Union, bread as a staple, has a social component, has a political component, and has an economic component. We are so much tied when it comes to our social responsibilities to the population that sometimes we are obliged to produce and make sure it's available, even if we are bleeding. But we cannot take some of those things for granted, where there are lots of tools, like I always say, that our government have, that our line ministries have, that we have already known in other countries which have used those leverage and positive partnerships with the government to completely absorb certain shocks where bakeries as an industry will produce. And even with economic shocks and challenges, the effect will not be very much visible to the last consumer. So these are realities that we have to say.
Talking about government, like you just mentioned, how did discussions with the Ministry of Trade unfold, and what compromises were considered?
Our discussion with the Ministry of Trade within this process, whilst these challenges were highlighted, was very positive. And up to this time, as we speak, is very positive, because we have put some of these realities in bullet points. for it to be considered, like one I can quote verbatim, where we said, in the bakery sector, we were given a calculated quota to promote competition in the trade, where quality and standards of our flours that we have will always know there is a second party competitor where they will maintain standards. We have highly seen standards deteriorate until when we start talking, and up to now as we speak, as of yesterday, I was on a routine check, not because of this program, but we routinely within our members, we are having challenges on that. So this is specifically mentioned in the letter. Give us our revised quota, which we are aware that the quota was legitimately given through a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Trade, but it was promptly paused for a reason that we find out and that we are aware. This has been something that is one key thing that we reiterate for it to be revived, and a revised quota calculated by technicians and us, because it has nothing to do with the market production here. The second component, in other countries that we benchmark, there are provisions where governments, in collaboration with the unions, support legislations and support laws, and up to a point give special degrees, where in the bakery sector, regulations implemented by the Bakers Union and the Ministry of Trade or the government itself are in place to enforce regulations on bakeries that in one way or the other have not fulfilled certain criteria. If, as a country, we want to shy away from some of those responsibilities and collaboration, we still have in gaps. For example, today, if you want to open a bakery, anybody can come at any time, open a bakery at anywhere. In areas where there are mechanisms put in place, there is this high collaboration between the Ministry of Trade, the Bakers Union, with procedures. Before you open a bakery, you have to collaborate with these two. They certify the location, they satisfy the meters between your bakery and her bakery, how close it is within a particular community to serve them effectively with bread. Even if you are not supplying, you can walk directly to that bakery and get your bread at a price which will be at wholesale at bakery level. Okay, these are mechanisms in other countries where the bakery union, the Ministry of Trade, and other crucial partners partner, and the presidents in some of those countries give presidential degree to the unions to be able to enforce through collaboration with stakeholders that before a bakery opens, they must certify these conditions, verified by these particular groups, then they operate. In events where bakeries are not in line with procedures, both standards, qualities, and weight, we have a very effective partnership with most of these bodies from Food Safety Standards Bureau for us to collectively, as a group, enforce some of these regulations. So we have put this before our authorities, before our line ministries, in real time, for us to be able to address the gaps that exist in this sector. The third recommendation that is on our letter is a complete fuel line that will be subsidized, like it is in other countries, with a particular chemical, a premix, that will preserve our ovens. If you were to use 20 liters to bake 4 bags, you might be using 15 liters to bake 4 bags. And the cost that you've saved, 4 liters or 6 liters, is an added advantage. But this is a direct collaboration with those institutions and the government. At the National Bakers Union, we have engaged, starting from the Petroleum Ministry, putting these specifics together. They were frank and give us very authentic technical specifications or advice to use normal protocols to address these. We addressed this request to the Ministry of Finance. Up to date, as we speak, we've not stood at any platform for us to discuss around this. We've also minuted the same letter directly to the Ministry of Trade, highlighting this particular intervention very clearly. We also copied the same letter to the Office of the President, talking around this. Currently, when you also go to other places, there is this partnership where the mills, the factories, that is the unions, and the trade ministries have a specific treaty signed and sealed, talking about giving brown flours and more healthy bread to our population, not to depend exclusively on white flour. Today, as we speak, from our last international engagement, we understood there are memorandums signed, and in practice, currently, where the mills and the factories, the Senegalese Bakers Union have agreed to a 20% serial local program where coos that is farmed by our local farmers in our countries, in our transformation drive to promote more cereal and brown flours for a healthier population, they have accepted some of these conditions and it's currently in play. So in the Gambia here, people will only hear us sometimes when certain things comes out, and some of the works that we've been doing, engaging extensively along all lines, we might not continue to be silenced with it because we owe an obligation to the state, to the population, and also our investors within the bakery sector.
Would you say bakeries are operating at a loss by selling at the current fixed price, breaking even at $12 per loaf?
That's the reality. Bakeries are currently operating at 100% losses. If I say 100% losses, it can be quantified from the small bakery to the highest one. Let's put it this way. With all things remaining the same, our operation costs were calculated in 2024, 2025, based on market realities then. We invested time to understand a situational analysis of facts with things that we use, that is our inputs, across, calculated at a benchmark price minimum of $85 per liter of fuel then. From $85 is a liter of fuel to 115, the maths is there for everybody to do. It was initially 120, now revised to 120. From 85 when we were benchmarking to 120, we can all see the difference. Okay, yeast improvers and other things, during that time, the way it was, when everything was flowing smooth, from that calculation, it remains where it was. But today, as we speak, the math is very simple for everybody to do. You don't need to be an expert to analyze that. Okay, when we were obstructed with operations where now you have to rely on fuel, now put the calculated cost of fuel, like I said, from where it is, where it was when we were benchmarking to where it is right now. If you are to even operate to maintain your social responsibilities, to give bread to the population unaffected, at that particular cost, you can maintain to a point. But now, coupled with complete obstruction, you are heavily dependent on your generator for operations almost 24 hours. The reality is before all of us. But at the union, at the leadership level, most of this thing was not visible because anytime our members come, we put certain realities together and challenges together, but we still take responsibilities to say we still owe an obligation to this level. Whilst we fulfilling this obligation, give us the chance, we will still continue with our approach to diplomacy, engage and put these mechanisms clearly and these challenges clearly on the table with our authorities. Then we will together find amicable solutions that will not affect your production cost and overhead, and that will not have any effect on the direct loaf of bread. From here, I will directly go to some technical things which affected cost of bread. Naka, the cost of bread to the last consumer. Today, with $12 a bread, a dozen at 120 or 130, if you drive directly to a bakery to get your bread, either a loaf or a dozens, it's very convenient. The $12 can still stay. We can manage, we can go with subventions and these things put in place to maintain that. But when the price of bread was increased to $12, you'll be amazed the $2 that was increased by the Bakers Union, people leverage on that more than even the bakery owners. But what happened? If bread price is affected, everybody looks only to the baker. We forgot the person who was selling mburog nyebe, mburog steak, mburog li. Mburu is her or his main ingredient. But mburu bu yoka $2 is that is on bread. Yonga yoka $10. So don't jay a steak 175. Legi you are selling it 85. Ñeneen ñu doon jaay mayonnaise maybe $5, $10. ñu ne mburu dafa yoku. They sell it to you at $15 per scoop. So the reality is, okay, the supplier, for example, the way the bread goes, you are giving it at $10 at the bakery, $12 is retail price. But now, we have no problem with that. But now, if you are giving it out, you, the consumers, me, the consumer, wants it to reach me to my doorstep. The line that takes it, there are costs that the bakery industry is losing to those things, where we have an obligation and the state have an obligation, which we have made direct studies to understand how to mitigate that. If this line, like we said, we will not just want to cut the livelihood of any particular group, but we will want to take responsibilities to regulate those groups, identify them, register them, and let them also be fulfilling their obligation, not just to the bakers' union, but to the state and to the consumers. If I, as an investor in the bakery industry, invested 7 million to give bread to the population, you, as the person taking it, you invest maybe 45,000 to have a bike, and you fuel, then to take. If you can still have more than me, there is an obligation on us as an investor. But regulating that, for example, we proposed certain processes which we will take to the latter to make sure this is addressed. If the supply line is addressed, the bakers are addressed with regulations, which only the bakers' union and the government and a presidential decree can. Obviously, we can say with confidence that we will see a significant improve in bread quality in this country. We will see much more healthier bread produced in this country, and we will see its effect on our population.
At the beginning of this conversation, I had initially said that time is very limited on Wednesdays. We wanted to have this conversation in Mandinka and Wolof, but time is against us, and that would not be able to happen. I'd like to ask before you leave, though, has the union requested subsidies or tax relief or other support, to offset rising costs? And in future, if costs continue to rise, will the union push, again for a price increase?
Yeah, subsidies specifically, there are subsidized items, including our main ingredient, which is flour. There have been a memorandum of understanding which we write and request for it to be renewed, because it's also a revised tariff on a quarter of flour that we import to maintain certain promotions, competitions. Like I said, from our technicians, they will always recommend this. Mr. Dibba, is not ideal all the time. If realities change, you always have to go back and forth. We will have to put formulas. If A, B, and Z change at this significant level, automatically a team, not necessarily a body, a team will sit to make this calculated cost against realities, then address the increment specific. But to be honest, bread is not a commodity that anybody at any time and anyhow can just increase, that we are aware of. So if we are putting very, very clear plans together, I will just want to say this clearly here. There are mechanisms that we can leverage on both as the union and the state, where we can put this sector in a way that we will continue to produce, our investors will continue to see themselves, but we will continue to live stress-free with little pressure all the time going back and forth. After all, if it comes to a point, we are investors. Yeah? If we cannot operate up to a level, obviously there are decisions that we can take and that we will take. We have vehemently said this in our last correspondence that we've tabled to the Ministry of Trade, putting these recommendations together. We have given every process its due. To this point that I'm talking with you, we have said it clearly to the technician attached to us, who is very helpful in putting technical realities before the minister, the PS, and even the president, for us to understand that the Bakers Union, and I want to say this openly here, we are not here to compete. We are here to collaborate, coordinate, and make sure what is deserved in this country, like we've seen in other countries. The way the sector is controlled to a level where everybody enjoys quality, everybody enjoys healthy bread. That is the roadmap we've taken, and engaging positively with a very positive expectation that they will understand where we are going. But if we continue to engage and it is taken for granted, like I always say, we have other means to definitely explore to protect investment and to protect bakery operators.
Mr. Dibba, thank you very much for your time this morning.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Lamin. Our guest today has been Lamin Dibba, Secretary General of the Gambia Bakers Union, who explained why bakers are seeking an increase in the price of bread. The government, though, is standing firm for now, especially in an election year.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Wave lay fay.
sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
A better way to pay your UTG fees with instant proof of payment and real-time student portal update. Paying your University of the Gambia fees has never been easier or more convenient. With Ecobank, students, parents and guardians can pay UTG tuition and related fees through our secure digital banking channels such as Ecobank mobile app, Ecobank online and Ecobank Omni Lite. Once payment is completed, instant proof of payment is generated and the UTG student portal is updated in real time, allowing students to proceed immediately with registration, course selection, and clearance without unnecessary delays, while giving parents and guardians peace of mind that payments have been successfully processed. How to pay via the Ecobank mobile app. Open the Ecobank mobile app and navigate to the home screen. Select Pay Bill. Choose Pay a New Bill and select Schools from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. How to pay via Ecobank Online or Omni Lite. Log in to Ecobank Online and Omni Lite using your credentials. Select the menu and choose Bill Payments. Choose Quick Bill Pay and select School from the category options. Select University of the Gambia. Select the specific product you are paying for. Enter your matriculation number and tap Continue. Validate your details. The system will display the payable amount. Press Continue to confirm the payment. An e-receipt is generated automatically as proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Walk into any Ecobank branch or pay through our digital channels and enjoy instant proof of payment with real-time updates on the student portal. Ecobank, the Pan-African Bank.